am Mecha42, your favorite YouTube harpy, and we have some interesting news to cover about this whole Captain Marvel pre-sale ticket Fandango theory that a lot of people have been having. And I have some good news with this, and I have some bad news with this as I clear off my desk because I don't knock things over. I talk with my hands a lot. If you're new to the channel, I talk with my hands a lot. So the bad news is I don't think it's as much of a new conspiracy as a lot of people are thinking. This type of stuff happens all the time with pre-sales on movies. The thing I used to do when I lived in Wisconsin, since there was like nothing else to do, was I would camp out and look maybe once a week to see what movies were upcoming on the local theater websites. And a lot of the time, every time there was a giant movie coming out, they would only list the giant movie as what you could buy a pre-sale for. Now, there's a few reasons behind this. One of them is because that big movie is always expected to do, you know, the biggest amount of dollars, so they want to have that on their biggest screen. If you have a theater with like, you know, an ultra screen or a super screen or whatever, if you have like the nice screen, that's where the new movies are always going to be, especially if they're like the new blockbuster movies, like the Marvel movies, the Disney movies, the big action movies, you know, the big blockbuster sort of movies. They're always going to be on the big screen. What happens to all the little movies that have come out like previously is they're kind of put on the reserve of, okay, are we still selling tickets for these? Is there still interest? Which ones do we drop? Which ones do we keep? So this is why you're seeing stuff like Alita that's been out for almost a month at this point now, kind of moved to, you know, it'll be moved to the smaller theaters. But they're not going to physically let you buy tickets because they don't know how many theaters they're going to need for Captain Marvel. This is a tactic, though. Now I will say it's not something that they did specifically for Captain Marvel, and it does sound really, really super duper fishy considering all of the insane shit going down with Rotten Tomatoes, how they're removing the want to see viewer poll option. It does seem a little fishy, and we are noticing a lot more now, but this is something they've been doing for quite a long time. And this is Star Wars related, and this was before I was really covering this type of stuff on my channel. Let's go look at these articles here. I apologize I'm not on screen for these, but this article came out in 2017, November 1st, 2017, before The Last Jedi even came into theaters. Remember, it opened December 15th, I believe, is when I saw it, 2017. So, Disney has an impressive list of demands for theaters who want to show The Last Jedi. And don't think that Disney doesn't also do this with the Marvel movies. This is why you see them on every screen. The deal is getting worse all the time. Lando Calrissian's statement about his arrangement with Darth Vader could well be on the minds of theater owners, given that they reportedly have to hand over a record 65% of the ticket sales from The Last Jedi to Disney. The contract to run the latest Star Wars film, which lands everywhere in just 6 weeks, also ups Disney's take to 70% if the theater puts a foot wrong on a number of counts, according to the Wall Street Journal report. The U.S. theater owners are required to run a movie for 4 weeks without skipping a single screening if they want to avoid the penalty. They also have to run specific marketing promotions for the film exactly when Disney wants, and not a day early. It's an unusual clause, both in its duration, 2 weeks is more common for hit Disney movies, and its level of punishment, 5%. The Last Jedi's gross could make the difference between a profit and loss for many theaters. And don't think they're not doing that again with this tactic. There's nothing reporting on this because of all the other controversy. But this is kind of my thoughts on this, that they are, in fact, going out of their way to do this with Captain Marvel as well. So of course they're going to secure as many theaters as they can. They don't know, and they're going to. Here's the thing: once these theaters start to actually know more how many people are going to pre-order the ticket sales, and let's face it, there's not a lot of pre-orders going on Captain Marvel from what I'm seeing. A lot of the smaller theaters, the more remote theaters, people don't really care. They're just gonna go see it maybe if it looks good. You know, you got to remember, we're still in winter. We're still in the dead of winter. in the Midwest especially, people aren't going to want to drive through, 3 or 4 inches of snow to go see the latest Marvel movie if it's not getting glowing reviews, especially if they're hearing crap from the stars, especially all this stuff. So there's a lot of little different parts moving here. There's another article. Here we go. There's pretty much another article, the same thing for Disney Star Wars. Bigger ask of theaters than ever before with The Last Jedi. Let's see. If 2 month early ticket sales causing delays at sites like Fandango weren't indication enough, there's plenty of audience appreciation for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi this fall. Disney's evidently knows this too, and according to the Wall Street Journal, the company is happily using its leverage for unprecedented distribution deals with theaters over the next Star Wars installments. All right, and this pretty much just goes on for more of that. Now, because of Disney being the huge powerhouse that it is, you know that they're probably making similar demands on theaters, and theaters are probably going, but we're not selling as many tickets. That's a huge problem. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of little moving parts here. But here's the kicker, though. It's not new. It's nothing that is just happening for Captain Marvel. And like I said, a lot of the time, the theaters, when I would go and sit and camp out on the movie theater websites, I wouldn't go through Fandango. I would go through the actual theater that would then kind of kick me through to Fandango for the ticket sales. That's one of the things you got to do, because Fandango is kind of going, it is one of these, it's like a second party sort of seller. If you really want to go and see Alita Battle Angel, you want to go look on your local theater's website. I know Fandango's a lot easier. Excuse me. And it's a lot more convenient, and a lot of the times they'll kick you back out to Fandango. But here's the thing, it's nothing new. A lot of the times they've been doing that, you could only get the giant Marvel movies, or you could get the giant, Fathom event movies, like the Rift Tracks. Those are the things you could buy tickets 2 months early to, or a month early to. Everything else, they kind of just have on the back burner of, okay, we'll see what happens that day. We're going to add the theaters that day as needed. Hopefully this will clear up a little bit of it for you guys, and if I find any more articles out there that are more relevant to Captain Marvel, I'll let you guys know. They're not going to be saying anything probably until after the movie is released, though. I don't think they want this narrative to get out there. This is why I haven't been able to find any actual articles about it, that aren't completely shilling for it. Because Disney does kind of have their little leverage in everything. They kind of have their influence. So they're not going to let a lot of these articles say anything other than, like with The Last Jedi, these are still spun how wonderful The Last Jedi is and how amazing The Last Jedi was, when in fact they demanded such a huge cut with The Last Jedi because they knew it was going to bomb, because they probably knew, or they kind of had fears. They're like, okay, so The Force Awakens pre-sold and sold out immediately when Force Awakens came out. I remember I was camping on there. I could not get tickets opening night for Force Awakens until they kept adding more showings. Last Jedi, I had no problem. I got it in the main theater. Nobody was wanting it. The Last Jedi, it was really, really easy to get pre-sale tickets for opening night for Last Jedi. It wasn't as crowded. It didn't sell out until that day. And that's another thing you want to remember. Also, thank you for subscribing. I forgot to turn off notifications. But yeah, so I don't think this is anything new for Captain Marvel. This is definitely something that's been going on for a while. It is a bigger problem with Disney wanting and taking so much of the theater cut and being such a big powerhouse. That is the bigger problem here. But yeah, it definitely, instead of checking Fandango, check your local theaters. And you want to wait probably a day or two right before the movie comes out. I know it's going to suck. I know you guys want to show your support for Alita. Just keep on it. And you can keep looking. And sometimes they'll list it 2 or 3 days in advance. Sometimes they'll list it that day, depending on the theater. In Wisconsin, I had a much easier time getting tickets, a week in advance for something, even a lesser known movie, than I do out here in Colorado, because in Colorado there's a lot more people. It's a lot harder to pre-sell a movie. There's only a few theaters that let you select your seat depending on which theater you're at. Definitely keep checking back and go to your actual theater's website instead of Fandango. Hopefully this will help clear up some of it. And no, it's still kind of a shady thing. Don't get me wrong, they still do really shady things, but it's much more of a business thing than a you can't buy any other tickets to Captain Marvel sort of thing. Because let's face it does make more business sense to have the new movie that's coming out, the new one that has, like, every other Marvel movie has been a huge blockbuster, a huge success. Of course, they're going to want to put it in their biggest theaters, as many theaters as possible. They're going to want to have a few extra theaters just in case it becomes really, really super popular. And now I think they're kind of panicking that, no, people aren't really buying as many pre-sale tickets as we thought. I guarantee you they did the same thing with Black Panther. They did the same thing with every other Marvel movie where you couldn't really go in and pre-order a lot of, especially the older movies, especially movies that have been out for like a month. We are in this day and age where once a movie is out, and like the next week, nobody cares about it. The next week, we're on to the next movie. Same thing with TV shows. The next week, we're on to the next TV show that drops on Netflix all at once, right? So yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Hopefully this will help clear some of this stuff up. It's still shady as crap, don't get me wrong. It's not a new thing, though, just for Captain Marvel. I am Mecha Red 42, and I'll see you guys on the next video or live stream. Bye! Thanks for watching! If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!